Welcome back. Welcome back to Living in Mexico. I'm Ana Maria Salazar. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. It's always an honor to share with you your weekend, especially this weekend. Happy Mother's Day to all of you who are mothers and who are listening and watching this show. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your time with us, listening to Living in Mexico. So I'm gonna bring up an issue that's been on my mind for the last couple of weeks, and it's an issue that is more immediate than maybe we realize, but it just seems so far away, especially considering everything else that's going on in the country. It has to do with the World Cup. As you know, the next World Cup is going to be taking place next year in June, and the countries. This is an interesting World Cup because it's going to be shared between three countries: Mexico, Canada, and the United States. That, as you know, well, they're supposed to be economic partners, commercial partners, but just based on, and we've talked about it in the show. There's been a lot of, it's been a crisis in terms of this strain that is creating on the bilateral relationship and, well, the trilateral relationship, because also Canada is having problems with Donald Trump and this tariff issue. But the whole idea of doing the World Cup the way it had been proposed between three countries was supposed to be a reflection of the coordination, the friendship, the ability to share and share and basically prepare three countries to do the World Cup based on these commercial agreements. Well, there's a big question mark as to whether that USMCA, known in Spanish as TEMEC, will be alive next year. They have to renegotiate it, and that's only one of the many things that are going to be happening in the next months. So, yes, I know many of you are saying we're 400 days away from the inauguration that's going to be taking place here in Mexico City of the World Cup, but I I think I almost think it's almost too late. Maybe I'm exaggerating for Mexico and maybe all the both and the United States and Canada be ready for the World Cup. That's why I really appreciate today's guest. He's been he's been a friend of this show for many years. He's an expert on national security, Eduardo Vasquez. Eduardo, welcome to the show. I know you've had experience in following big events and working on the national security side of big events in different parts of the world. But we're 400 days, less than 400 days away from the World Cup. Where are we? I mean, is Mexico going to be prepared, especially considering the security situation in the country? Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Ana Maria. I'm glad to be here with you. Definitely Mexico has a lot of experience dealing with big events,
Hmm.
things like Formula One, for example.
Right.
And Mexico has hosted before two times different World Cup events, similar or quite similar like this one. This one is different because it's going to be hosted with three countries.
Hmm.
Talking about time, I believe that we should not expect to have 400 days to be prepared. I believe that after FIFA lottery is done, that it may happen in December 2025. After that happens, all the teams that should be coming to Mexico will be on the move to prepare to come with all this preparation to address the tournament.
Hmm.
When you speak about a big event like World Cup, you have to talk about a national security event. It's
Right.
not only an sports event. Many people get confused thinking that World Cup is about football matches, and it's not.
Right.
World Cup is probably the biggest geopolitical event in the world.
Hmm.
And there are some countries that never in their existence, in their history, will host an event like this.
Hmm.
So when you are talking about this kind of tournaments, it's either an opportunity for the countries to create or build capacities to be better regarding security, to address different kind of threats,
Hmm.
or it's probably um, the event that may affect forever the reputation for the country name is if something happens. So
Right,
that's
right.
this is these two sides in
Mm-hmm.
this thing. So there are plenty of people in Mexico that are very well trained for this, either civilian, either militaries, either police officers, of course, private sector, but everyone should be preparing a lot, getting some
Yeah,
training and
but
making some
but it
risk analysis for
but
that.
it, Eduardo, if you have a relatively high percentage of the country controlled by organized crime, and we can debate whether it's 30%, 40%, 60%. I mean, we could debate. I mean, you I think, and then just looking at the news this week, these two young children that were ended up in a shootout in Sinaloa, these graves that are appearing in Sonora, um, the preoccupation with the metro functioning correctly in Mexico City, because it's not only the issue of violence. It has to be all the infrastructure, critical infrastructure needs to be working, internet, the electrical grill, being able to even withstand an earthquake. I mean, I'm not too sure Mexico is ready or will be ready, just considering the security situation, just the violence, the critical infrastructure concerns, including the metro in Mexico City, for example, and just important things like the functioning of the airports, the functioning of the electrical grill, and making sure that we have internet. You know what I mean?
Well,
I don't know if this is all. Oh, we're going to be ready.
when you talk about these big events, you need to prepare in planning and preparedness for
Mm-hmm.
different kind of scenarios. Of course, cybersecurity is a very important thing that should be addressed and everyone must be prepared. Communications, for example, when
Right.
you have this kind of events, you will be you will have many people connected to internet for telephone lines, whatever, and they should have the access to be connected, for example.
Right. For
So,
example.
of course, interoperability and
Mm-hmm.
international police cooperation is it's a key issue in this. All the protocols after Qatar, for example, have international police, different polices
Mm-hmm.
working together in these countries like Mexico and others, where different police agencies from all around the world should be working together, and that kind of protocols should be created also. Of course, crowd management protocols are important.
Mm-hmm.
You are talking about, for example, Mexico City is a seismologic zone. So you
Right.
need to have in all the preparedness, all these protocols to have, of course, the capacity to respond in a mass disaster event if this happens. So I'm sure that many people in Mexico is prepared for this. Of course, coordination and cooperation with the other two countries, the United States and
Mm-hmm.
Canada, it's a key issue with this
Right.
because the three countries will share threats. And we're not talking about domestic threats. When you have this kind of events, the event itself is the target for sometimes these international organizations that may
Mm-hmm.
try to sabotage the event. For example, in the Olympics in
Mm-hmm.
Paris, there were people targeting the railroads, for example,
Right. Right.
And if you talk about Russia, for example, they have a lot of incidents with cybersecurity when
Mm-hmm.
World Cup was in Moscow. And if you are talking in recent years, there have been, for example, in the United States, the Kansas City incident when they were celebrating after Super Bowl, and in the parade, they were targeted with a guy with a pistol who almost
Right.
killed 30 people. Or the incident in New Orleans in December
Mm-hmm.
2024, where a guy make a hit and run against the crowd,
Right.
and that's what people remembers of those events.
Right.
So these different scenarios are between much more others,
Mm-hmm.
those that must be in a risk analysis
Right.
modelation of this event.
Right. So let's do this because we're running out of time. Let's just, I propose that you come on the show with certain regularity and we can be talking about just kind of updating on, how the countries are preparing
Of
the
course.
World Cup, because part of the problem also is, there's strain on on the trilateral relationship due to the tariff dispute. And I'm sure that's going to affect somehow the way these three countries prepare for this incredible event that, well, as I said before, it should start in less than 400 days. Thank you so much for joining us, Eduardo Vasquez,
Thank you, Ana
worldwide
Maria.
political and national security analyst. We're going to go to commercial break. I'm Ana Maria Salazar, and you're listening and watching Living in Mexico